today's episode, we're going to bring in one half of the world's greatest tag team members. That's right. It's Charlie Haas. Charlie, how you doing today?
Hey, man, thanks for the warm introduction. I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm excited about it.
You were in two big, high-profile tag team championship matches at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 19 and WrestleMania 20. You won the first one. You lost the second one.
Right. Well, we're 50-50, so you'll see that.
The flip of the coin. And a lot of people I've talked to talk about WrestleMania moments. Do you feel like those tag team matches are, you've checked off your WrestleMania moment? Because not everyone has ever performed at WrestleMania, of course.
Well, I mean, you look at the tag teams we were in there with, especially the first one. I mean, the Guerreros with Chris Benoit and Rhino. I mean, and for us to come out on top of that, we were very blessed for that. That was a great moment. Walking up the ramp, I remember Shelton's like, take your time because this may never happen again. We went into this team angle. The next year we were in as the world's greatest tag team. So, we had some great tag teams in that too. Didn't go our way, but look at the people that were in there. Rikishi and Ron Simmons and JBL. Look at the Hall of Famers that have been in there. So so we were fortunate to be able to be in two different WrestleManias. So you're right.
And of course, Scotty 2 Hotty was there too. And
that's right. So Scotty 2 Hotty and of course the Bashams.
The Basham brothers. Have you ever been coerced into possibly trying to do the worm? Because if I did that, I think my whole body would just snap into pieces.
No. My kids can do it. I can definitely take it. That's about it.
Yeah, get that chop to the face. So if WWE picked up the phone and called you and said, hey, we want to bring you back. We want to have you reform, even just have you there by yourself, but reform the world's greatest tag team angle. Would you accept that offer?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm in shape for it. I've been wrestling lately, doing a lot of single stuff. But I would do it in a second. If the storyline was right, if it was going to honor world's greatest tag team, if it was going to put us in the right place to catapult us to maybe into getting into Hall of Fame status, then I definitely would. But if it's going to hurt us in any way, and hurt what we have worked so hard for, then I wouldn't do it. So I mean, that's where I'm at right now in my career. So it all depends on the storyline and what would happen.
Yeah, because I think even go back to 2016, randomly SmackDown, they had a brand split again, and the Headbangers returned. And suddenly I'm like, the Headbangers are back in the WWE. And I'm thinking, like, well, why can't the world's greatest tag team come back as well? And I love the Headbangers, and I'm not saying they're any, disparaging their name at all, but it's like, well, why not the world's greatest tag team?
Why not? Exactly. I agree. Why not? And, never say never. In this business, never say never. You just never know.
That's true. There has been a lot of wrestlers who've, you think, burned the bridge, but then that bridge gets built right back up and they return. Right,
exactly. So and a lot of them end up going into the Hall of Fame as well, the ones that burnt those bridges. So,
yeah, and they're usually headlining too. How did you even get into wrestling? Was it a friend, a family member, channel surfing? Because I know a lot of people have different stories of how they actually saw it for the first time.
Well, I grew up. And my dad was in the Secret Service, so he was a federal agent. So he was stationed at the White House down there at D.C. And so we're living in Reston, Virginia, and cable was just started coming out. I turned on the WWF at the time, and I saw Ray Crippler Stevens pile driving Jimmy Superfly Snuka on the cement, not once but twice. And all of a sudden, man, he started doing the shake and blood's everywhere, and I was hooked ever since. And then, like I said, cable came out, and I turned on 605 to 805 one time. There's Gordon Soley now with the Georgia Championship Wrestling, which turned into World Championship Wrestling, and the Four Horsemen, and Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, and Tully Blanchard, and Ole Anderson. And I was a big Arn Anderson fan my whole life growing up. But how we got into it was, fast forward it now, my dad gets stationed out to Oklahoma City before 9/11 happened, or not 9/11, but before the Oklahoma City bombing out there. But he was stationed out there, and so we're out there, and I was just a really big wrestling fan because I was lucky to get you were able to get Mid-South, the territories at the time.
Yeah.
So I was able to watch Mid-South, WWF, 605 805 Gordon Soley, World Class Championship Wrestling, sometimes USWA, sometimes AWA. So I got all those territories because we were stationed right in the center of the United States. So I was just hooked, and plus I would collect all the magazines. I was just a wrestling mark fan. I think most of these guys, we talk to everybody, they're usually a mark first, Then they become a fan. They're a big fan, whatever you want to call it. That's what I was. I was that. And then after college, I wanted to get into wrestling, and ECW was just taking off, and we were out on the East Coast right away, and we were out on the East Coast where Seton Hall was, and I was just very fortunate at the time to go out there and try to get a tryout with I was trying to get a tryout with ECW at the school with Hardcore with Taz and Cronus, but not Cronus, with Perry Saturn, but they wanted $3,500, and I didn't have the money coming out of college, so I found Iron Mike Sharp had a school down in Asbury Park, and it was $100 down, $20 a week. And I'm like, well, that's more of my speed. So I was there for 10 months, me and my brother, and we were actually working in the ring with Iron Mike Sharp before anybody else. So it really helped a lot.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And Iron Mike Sharp, if anyone doesn't know, he was a WWF guy. He was a very well skilled individual, big human being, but he worked for WWF for a long time. And his dad, the Sharp brothers, they held the record for the most tag team titles for a long, long time. So, Iron Mike Sharp, he was Canada's greatest athlete. That's what he called himself. And he had the leather gimmick or whatever you want to call it, the leather device on his arm that would help protect his forearm. So.
Oh, the classic. I remember when I was a kid, it was Lex Luger had the iron plate in his forearm, and right. The WWF at the time was like, you have to wear this pad so you don't hurt
people. And actually, Iron Mike told me that was given to him by Andre the Giant. They cut off the top of a boot, of the wrestling boot, and they put it around his, said, there's your gimmick, so you can use that to win. So. Yeah. So.
My God. And you mentioned that you had like the greatest experience of being able, you were in such a location where you got every single territory on TV. That's unheard of.
So now fast forward. Okay. So I'm watching every territory. I'm watching Buzz Sawyer versus Roddy Piper, for the U.S. title down there, which was being showcased on, from 605 to 805 with Gordon Sully down there on Crockett. So I'm sitting there going, man, Pipe, and I've got the magazines. Piper's lost 75% of his hearing. Will he ever wrestle again? And all of a sudden I turn on WWF, and there is the first time ever Piper's Pit. And I'm like, wait, he just lost his hearing, and now he's I don't understand what's going on. Now they don't even talk about his hearing. He's on WWF. He's got Cowboy Bob Orton in his corner, and Paul Orndorff, and I'm like, I was lost, man. Because I'm watching two different. I had no idea at the time. I did not know about
tapings.
Yes, exactly. I was like 12 years old, so I was kind of
well, especially because you didn't have the internet at the time, so it's like. At one point when I was a kid, it was when Ultimate Warrior suddenly he left and came back, he was smaller. So everyone's like, that's not Ultimate Warrior. That's Texas Tornado dressed as Ultimate Warrior. So you have no idea what's happening. Now I probably just Google something, be like, well, is this true or not true?
Right. But they didn't
didn't know. That's a crazy story about Roddy Piper. That's insane. I have right there his magazine from 85, 86, December, January, the WWF magazine. I got all the magazines, collected them all, still got them. Outside projects. Speak it up. Let's tell good people.
Yeah, so I've been wrestling for a company called SWE. It's under new management now. So it's SWE and it's SWE 360 now. And what we're doing is we are taking all the we're really trying to take a lot of the carnival out of it. And we are going with a lot of hard hitting impact. Kevin Sullivan's our head booker. He's our booker. That gives us legitimate credibility right there. If anyone doesn't know who Kevin Sullivan is, he's the last living link to Eddie Graham. All right, and Eddie Graham taught him how to book. Which is down in Florida Championship Wrestling, which is a great territory where a lot of the greats that are iconic, a lot of the icons came out of, like Dusty Rhodes and Lex Luger and the Briscoe brothers and so on and so on. Kevin Sullivan. So he's booking. But what we want to do and what we're going to try to do is we are going to separate the locker rooms. You're going to have a heel face. You'll have your finish, and you're going to call it out there in the ring. I think that wrestling, the style today it's unbelievable. Don't get me wrong. but I think it's there's so much acrobats to it, and I don't think there's so much reality based to it. There's a lot of good talent out there. Don't get me wrong; these guys are more athletic than I am, but I think that we need to bring it back to where to as much reality as possible as we can. We want to bring it as fine of a line as we can to the UFC, where if you look on their part, they're trying to get as much entertainment as they can now. So we're trying to go to that direction. So I think if you call it out in the ring, you really can't mess up. Then you just have it out there and see how it goes.
Let's move on and talk about your WWE career. So when you were brought up to the main roster, you were positioned with Shelton Benjamin as Team Angle. You were the muscle for Kurt Angle's championship run. You were a gift from Paul Heyman to Kurt Angle. Now, what was your relationship like with Shelton Benjamin and Kurt Angle around that time? Are you guys traveling together? Are you working together all the time, working out?
Well, so Shelton and I, it was right after my brother died. So Team Angle was originally designed to be my brother, Shelton, and Kurt and I, us four. When Russ died, they decided to go ahead with Shelton and I. And so Shelton and I trained for about a good year with Arn Anderson. Before we were doing a lot of dark matches or spot shows, but we'd get there before, after the matches, and Arn would work with us. So when Arn thought we were ready, he gave his blessing. It was about a year right after Russ died, and we were ready to rock. I think when they threw us in for our first match, it was against Edge and Benoit. It was just like, holy shit, man! This is our first match. Our first house show match was against the Guerreros, and we didn't even see them until their music hit, and we're sitting in the middle of the ring in front of 12,000 people. Like, they would not talk to us. They got ready on the other side of the ring, and they taught us how to call it out in the ring, and that's how we learned. So for the first 6 months, man, we didn't even all we knew was the finish, and that was it. So that's why I believe that this could work. But so that's where the Guerreros really taught us a lot. Thank God for Chavo and Eddie. What two better people to learn that from? But Shelton and I were working out together a lot. Kurt was so busy. He was in and out. Heyman, you got to look at Paul Heyman. He did a lot for us at the beginning. Look what he's done now. He has the bloodline, and he had 20 years before that he had Team Angle. He's used to developing champions. So he's doing a great job now. So I'm happy for him as well. So
yeah, it's awesome. I loved. Again, when Team Angle showed up, I thought, wow, because for a long time we didn't have a certain type of wrestler. It felt like we were always in the, and I have nothing against it. There was just sports entertainment. Now we suddenly had Greco-Roman style professional wrestling. You were gonna compete. You're gonna do your thing, and I think your cell phone's dying probably. Is turning heel on you?
Yeah. You're right now. Good.
Yeah, we're all good. Right. I think it's interesting. But so no, why do you think in 2004 they split you up from Shelton Benjamin? Because again, nothing was wrong with the package. Now you were the world's greatest tag team. But why do you think they split you up? There's a bunch of different reasons. We heard that the Team Angle thing was getting so hot on SmackDown, and you got to remember what was really hot on the other show that was getting hot, Evolution. So so we heard that maybe it was getting too close to what was going on over there. Maybe it was competition. That's what we heard, and but then so because they didn't split Evolution, they split us. So then they just maybe they saw something in Shelton that they thought would have been better as a singles than they did as a tag team. So it was that's the powers to be. I couldn't answer that question if I tried. That's what I was told. One was coming from Kurt thinking that maybe that they were just that Hunter at the time was thinking that we were too much competition for them, and instead of raising the bar to see who's better, well, we can just dismantle one team. And who's he going to listen to? Kurt or Triple H? And Kurt even talks about he wishes he would have fought harder to keep it together. When I've done my interviews with him, but it is what it is. So right. So then, this is a very famous Monday Night Raw, which you can definitely watch on Peacock. June 5th, 2006. You recently came back to the WWE, and you come out and you're like all fired up. And I'm like, oh, finally, Charlie Haas is back. Yeah, yes. And you run down, you were running the ropes, but Lillian Garcia was getting out of the ring at the same time. You accidentally bumped into her. She falls down. She hurts her wrist. You're in a match, and no one seems to care about the match. Everyone's concerned about Lillian Garcia on the outside being treated for her injury. Now, do you think that accident really set up a chain of events that no longer were you going to go up, you were just going to stay in this steady course of going straight? Because suddenly you're in a storyline with Viscera, Lillian Garcia. It just seemed like everything changed for you the minute you bumped into Lillian.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, like you said, I mean, that was not planned. I thought she would go down the stairs right there. And I had no idea she was going to walk across, and that was totally on accident. And it did set off a lot of I think we plateaued right there, but I gotta say, it put Viscera on a tag team run for a while, and overseas, and even if I think we only did it one time on TV, but we wrestled like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, or Triple H or Ric Flair whenever Shawn wasn't available. I think for like 6 months straight, like on all the house shows and all that, like that you guys already saw. But eventually, what that led to is when we both got released. Big Viscera and I had a big run over in Japan, so as a tag team where we wrestled Akibono and Kea in the Sumo Dome, over at Sumo Hall, Sumo Hall, and that was, so we had a long run as a tag team over there because of that. So it had its pros and cons, and then and got Russell Soul, man. I had a really good time tagging with this and all that, and he was a good person and a great person, man. And always, he knew a lot about, he was a veteran. He was around for a long time, so he taught me a lot as well on the road. So
yeah, I think that Lillian Garcia moment was something that people feel like, oh my God. And then obviously chain of events have happened. Now in 2008 in your WWE career, you suddenly changed up. You were no longer the serious character. You were impersonating wrestlers. You're dressing up as Roddy Piper, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan. I think your most famous one is Beth Phoenix, which actually got you a Slammy
Award, baby.
You got a Slammy Award. Yeah. I'm assuming it's in your bathroom right now. So you actually won Best Impersonation Award that year, and I think it's hilarious. But how much fun was that character? Well, and why is your Slammy not in your hand right now?
They designed it. I think they designed it to have me to see me quit or whatever. I think it was like they give you these projects. They want to see how your reaction. They were hoping that I would quit or whatever. But what I did is I looked at it as a chance to honor these icons, man. And I'm like, you know what? They're going to give me this. I'm going to go do it to the best of my ability. So they told me I was going to do it a week ahead of time. I went out and gathered all the stuff. I studied their tapes. I did everything. There was a lot of them. And the crazy thing is now, and I didn't know at the time what was going on, but now I get when I do these WrestleCons or autograph signs, more people ask about that, or oh my God, that was great, or the CHL was the best one ever, and so these pictures that people want to sign. I guess and when I do these, I make sure it's a special signature that I do, so that in time maybe it'll be worth money. So there's only, and I won't do it for any other for any other signing or anything or other picture. But I'll put the Glamour Haas, or I'll put Stone Cold Steve Austin. So maybe in the long run, maybe they'll be worth money for that person if they with that signature.
You think when they gave you the character to impersonate wrestlers, you think that was a test to see if you would just quit the WWE?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was it was towards the end of okay. So here's personally, when I got out of when they broke me up as a tag team with that was my whole career, was with my brother, with Shelton. I'll be honest, I was lost, man. I didn't know who Charlie Haas was as a singles wrestler. I was so worried about coming up with all these moves of mine. My mind was like, all right, I needed to showcase all these single moves that I don't have. Like I said, I'm not an acrobat. I'm not, I was an amateur wrestler. I didn't really understand exactly who Charlie Haas was in the singles. I remember Arn Anderson saying, Charlie, once you figure out who you are, quit worrying about the moves, and just worry about the work in between the moves, you're going to be just fine. I didn't understand what he meant by that till basically, 5 years ago or now, seriously. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, it's not about the moves. It's about the work between the moves. And that is something a lot of wrestlers don't understand. They want to have all this move set. That's what really hurt me. So I think they knew it. They saw the frustration. I had no idea who I was at the time. And I think that was a way of like, well, let's just give him this, see it. If he doesn't like it, we can say, hey, you're just difficult to work with. We can kick him out the door, Mm-hmm. So I think it was a test, but I think they were like, well, shit, man, this kid really likes it, man. Like, he's really getting into it. So, I mean, like I said, it wasn't a way to dishonor any of these icons. It was a way to honor them, when I got to be Hogan and Austin and Piper and Beth Phoenix. And I mean, I was, it was a way for me to honor them. So that's all I can say. So.
And like, again, as me as a fan watching, I was very happy to see, Charlie Haas on TV at any point. It didn't matter. So dressing up as these characters, I was like, finally, someone sees what I see. And this person just, again, you said, who is Charlie Haas? And I think that's the question. Even I think Steve Austin a few years ago, before Becky Lynch became, the man, Steve Austin asked, who's Becky Lynch? She's like, oh, I'm the last kicker. And he's like, well, what is the last kicker? Who is Becky Lynch? Right. And I think you impersonating these characters, even before that World's Greatest Tag Team, there was an identity. And then you just mentioned, once there wasn't your tag team, there wasn't an identity. Who is Charlie Haas? Is he a good wrestler? Right. Is he, what is he? I think even you and Rico together was like the mixed nuts situation of like these two don't mix together. So when they're not mixing together, that's entertainment for me.
Yeah, we thought of that like The Odd Couple. If anyone remembers that, that show. But yeah, people are like, no, it's funny that when Rico and I we had our run, the tag title run, a lot of tag teams didn't want to work with him. They refused to work with him in the ring, and when they did, they hurt him. They tried to hurt him because and he's suffering from a lot of concussion issues right now because of all that. Like they don't, people understand like. I would tell them like, dude, this is the easiest character to work with. It's all character based. You don't have to do anything physical that's going to hurt you. It's all body language and facials and all that. And I mean, I enjoyed working with them like in the singles. That singles match we had was so good. The next week, Pat Patterson's like, hey, we're putting you guys together and you guys are winning the tag titles. I mean, that's how, and that's why I try to tell people, go out and give 100%, no matter if you don't want to do it, you hate it, do it. Because you never know what's going to happen, and they gave us another tag title run. It gave me another set of action figures. It gave me three-time WWE Tag Team Champion. But a lot of people refused to be in the ring with Rico. They were like, "We'll be in there with you, Haas. We're not going to work with Rico."
Because of his flamboyant character.
Yeah, because of the character.
Did they not watch Goldust a few years before that?
Well, a lot of people think of how much flack. A lot of people didn't want to work with Goldust either.
Yeah, I know Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, God rest his soul. But yeah, the story is out there that he didn't want to work with them because his kids were watching the show and he thought this was too much of a flamboyant character. But it's entertainment, and I don't think people sometimes realize it's even the people who work there don't realize it's entertainment. So, but that's interesting. But so. Last question, what are your goals this year? You already talked about you're starting an organization. That's a big goal on itself. So do you have anything else?
No, I mean, what is and also my kids, Russ and Chuck, I'm starting like a junior wrestling association for little kids. And they already started, they're on their 8th pro match right now. Because it's sports entertainment, so it will not affect any type of NCAA violation because it's already been proven that it's sports entertainment. It's not real, right? So what I'm doing is I'm helping train kids from like 10 to 15, 10 to 16. The wrestling that they're doing, it's working on psychology. It's working on body parts, the psychology of the match. They don't wrestle outside the ring, nothing off the top rope, no type of spine buster or any type of last ride or a power bomb that's going to give a whiplash motion. Mm-hmm. It's teaching these kids like timing, spacing, how to work in front of a camera. I know because now look at the kids in college. They may never have hit the ring, but since they get paid for their likeness and their name, WWE signing them to all these contracts, they're making really good money. So if I can teach these kids, how to work in front of a camera and the timing in 10 years from like the time they're 10 to they're 18 or 20, I mean, you're going to have a lot of Randy Ortons on your hand.